Hi, I'm Richard Sherrill. I'm an attorney with the Clark Partington Law Firm, and I'm also a member of the Florida Bar Real Property, Probate, and Trust Law Section Executive Council. I want to discuss a number of important estate planning documents that go beyond our primary estate planning documents, which are a last will and testament or a revocable trust. What I want to talk about are power of attorney, living will, and designation of healthcare surrogate. These documents can be very important in a crisis, but they're also important all of the time because we never know when they may be necessary to use. Beginning with the power of attorney, this is a document that allows you to authorize someone else to act on your behalf in a wide variety of matters. This can be including real estate, banking, investments, taxes, titles to vehicles and automobiles, and in general, a wide variety of matters that can be undertaken by you, if specified in the document, can be handled by someone else for you. Certain things cannot be delegated in a power of attorney, and those are limited to the ability to swear an affidavit of your personal knowledge, the ability to vote in an election, and also the ability to show up for work for you. Those are all personal to the principal, you, and cannot be delegated to another person to undertake on your behalf. Otherwise, the actions that are specified in the document can be authorized to be undertaken by another person. Certain very important actions must be not only written out in the document, but also initialed or signed next to those specific powers. Those we generally regard as estate planning functions, such as making gifts, designating beneficiaries, changing survivorship elements in an account, and also modifying estate planning documents to some certain extent. If we want to create those abilities to another person and authority to act in those ways, then the document must sign next to those specific items. Now, we're not able in a power of attorney to provide generally anything I can do, my agent can do for me, but instead it must be specifically spelled out. The power of attorney must obviously be in writing, signed by you, witnessed by two people, and notarized by a notary public. And bear in mind, there's a new notary format that allows to specify whether the person is signing in person or online. We have a great video on online notarization at the Florida Bar RPPTL section as well. And as to what documents must be signed and notarized, we also have an excellent list of assets and items that must be documents that must be signed and notarized, which is also available in the Florida Bar Reptile section. The power of attorney can be utilized using a copy, and only in the event generally of real property must the original document the power of attorney must be provided. When we're using a power of attorney for real estate, then the original would be recorded along with the deed. A third party, such as a financial institution, must accept a proper power of attorney unless they have any reason to know that it's not authorized anymore. So a third party, such as a financial institution, must accept the document. In certain instances, they can ask for a backup letter or affidavit, but in general, a proper power of attorney cannot be denied or turned down. A third party, such as a financial institution, can be held harmless and is indemnified if they utilize and accept the power of attorney. And so they're entitled to rely on it, is the point there. The power of attorney that we talk about is generally a durable power of attorney. Durable, that word means that it lasts through the incapacity of the person who signed it, the principal. And so that can be very helpful where we might have someone who signs a power of attorney. It has the language under the statute that makes it a durable power of attorney. It can last through the incapacity of that person. So if you sign a power of attorney now, later become incapacitated through dementia or anything else, then unless other circumstances intervene, the person you've designated can continue to act on your behalf even after you become incapacitated. So that's very important, and generally speaking, what you see is a durable power of attorney. Other terms such as a general power of attorney or a family power of attorney, those are sort of have been left behind now, and now we have either a broad power of attorney, we can have a limited power of attorney, but those can be made durable if we use the language under the statute. This differs from a military power of attorney, which is not controlled by Florida law, and so federal law controls that a serviceman or woman can execute a power of attorney under military circumstances, under deployment or active duty, or even military, reserve or active. And the military power of attorney can be utilized instead of the durable power of attorney under Florida law. Next, we turn to the living will. This document addresses essentially end-of-life decisions, and it in general covers 4 areas: end-of-life decisions, specific treatment choices, organ donation, and also the designation of a healthcare surrogate. We'll talk about that last aspect separately in a moment. But the first 3 items are almost straight from the statute, and so we can, if we read the statute, we'll see that it gives us a template of what we can use as a living will. And as you've seen, perhaps this allows you to state how you'd like to be treated if you're at the end of life, whether that's to receive pain medication, whether it is to receive comfort care, whether it is to be taken off of ventilators if a person is all but deceased. And so it allows you to address these issues now, to specify your desires so that if those circumstances arise, your wishes would be known in advance and can be honored. So as we said, that's an organ donation, specific treatment choices, and it can also be end of life, what we call pull the plug decisions, one way or the other. The last element of the typical living will is going to be the designation of healthcare surrogate. Now, this often comes under the living will, but we can often find it on its own as a separate document, which can often be referred to as a medical power of attorney, where I can designate someone else to make healthcare decisions for me if I can't. That can be near-death, end-of-life decisions. It can be an instance where I may be under anesthesia. I may have circumstances where I cannot make a healthcare decision for myself. I can designate someone else to do that for me. And for this document, for the living will and also the designation of healthcare surrogate, it must be signed and have 2 witnesses. It does not need to be notarized. The witnesses cannot be the person designated in the document, but otherwise, in general, it can be 2 adults who have witnessed the person signing this document. So these documents attend to medical issues, and under the designation of healthcare surrogate, importantly, we have a waiver of the health information privacy components, the HIPAA laws. And so in order for the healthcare surrogate to be able to review your files, we must have the HIPAA waiver. We've all seen these in our doctor's offices or medical care facilities where in order to get started with our chart, we have to deal with a HIPAA waiver. The HIPAA waiver is important if you decide to do that. In the designation of healthcare surrogate or the living will, either or both, in order to allow the person you've designated to handle medical matters for you, access your medical records, talk to physicians, talk to nurses, talk to healthcare providers, that HIPAA would otherwise prohibit. There are a couple of other important documents that go along with these, sort of minor documents perhaps, and this can be of significant importance, but the do not resuscitate. It's infrequently used, but the do not resuscitate, called a DNR, is a Florida law prescribed document. Very strict requirements. It's a standard form. It must be on yellow paper. It cannot deviate from this, because this is the document that says if you are dead but could be revived, don't. And so that can be for an elderly person near end of life, but could also be important if someone did not want to have CPR for whatever reason. It's a rare document, but it's important to know that it's on a prescribed form, yellow paper. One other document that we can sometimes need is a power of attorney to delegate parenting authorities for a brief period of time to another. And so the parents of a minor can authorize someone else to act on behalf of their child while they're away or while they're not able to do so. And that can be in the same manner as a power of attorney to designate some other person to take specific actions with regard to a minor child, signed, witnessed, notarized. So this really falls under the power of attorney. These documents are very important. They can come up in a crisis, but they can also come up in daily life. It's very important to have those. These documents are readily available in statutory form. And in most cases, they're very easy to get. And if you need any assistance, speak to an attorney, whether it's from the Florida Bar, specifically Real Property Probate and Law Section, or any other section of the Florida Bar.